I validate that you can see my screen. Today we will have a live demo about how you can build report from scratch using MPARR 2. If you are not aware what is MPARR yet, I know that Jairo that is here. He can share some of the links related to MPARR. MPARR is a solution that I built to have business-friendly report, understanding that in general, in almost all the companies, 95% of the people are non-IT technical. We need to create a report that can be friendly with to manage metrics, KPIs, and several other information. In that order of idea, the presentation from today, let me introduce myself. My name is Sebastian Zamorano. If you don't know me yet, I am the mastermind behind MPARR 2. I am a senior consultant on Microsoft. I have some experience on Power 12, Power BI. I am subject matter expert for Purview. And with us is Jairo Bravo. He is a senior cloud solution architect, a specialist on Power BI. And today he will help us to answer any questions that you can have on the chat. All of you are welcome, and let's go. The agenda for today is know a little more how we can get the information from logs analytics, some SQL queries that we can use on logs analytics to help the data, export the data from logs analytics to Power BI, how we can consume that data on Power BI, some functions and variables on Power BI. I will show something very interesting with a third-party solution for geolocation based on IP address. We will see how we can publish this report to Power BI and other stuff that we will start discussing during this presentation. And let's go with the theme. I was thinking today we will build the same report. It's related to Copilot. That is the big topic today in all the social networks and in all the conversation, and how we can see, as an example, the data that is accessed that doesn't have labels. And this will be help us to understand all the points, all the topics related to Copilot, Power BI, and MPARR. Let's go to the demo. This is my demo environment. And first of all, remember that MPARR have two options. One option is to export the data. One is send the data to Logs Analytics. We will work with the Logs Analytics, but today MPARR 2 have another connection to send the data to EventHub. In that case, there is several other ways to get the data from EventHub. EventHub permit to send the data to different kind of data lakes, databases, third-party CM solutions, blob storage, and more. We will focus only on Copilot, only on Logs Analytics. Today, when you run MPARR collector, you have some specific tables plus the rest of the script from the solution give us some additional information, and I will show to you how you can get that information. The first thing that we need to understand is using SQL is which kind of workloads and operations that we have in our environment. You can see here that running this simple query, I will share on chat if you want to take notes. We can easily identify if we are all the workloads that exist and the operations related to each workload. Let me show here. I am sharing here. And here, running this one, I am running to get the last 90 days. I can see all the different workloads that exist today, the data that is collected. In a previous session, I was explaining that today you can easily get more than 750 different operations. Each operation is related to a workload. In this case, you can see that I have several activities related to security and compliance, endpoint, Microsoft Teams in the last 90 days. In general, let me show a little more because I don't have too many activities in the last 3 months related to use Microsoft 365. But here, remember in Logs Analytics, we can easily get the data, retain the data for more than 2 years, easily for 2 years, and then we can extend inclusive for 12 years. And here you can see that we have information about security and compliance. We have activities related to forms, planner, Microsoft Teams, MCAS, endpoint, compliance, and more. Today, we will focus only on Copilot in this world. Copilot interaction. We have a specific workload that today is called Copilot, and the operation is called Copilot interaction. What we can do in this case is looking for the specific information that we are getting after we collect the Copilot interaction activity. Copilot. Running this, we can see that the information that is collected here, this is very important to have in mind. Time generated is the time when the data is ingested from the MPARR collector script. The activity occur in this column, creation time. This is very important to understand. And we have the event creation time for that is when the activity occur and when the data was ingested. Let me go next. With this information, we can see all the columns, all the data that we can use for our report. We have the workload, we have the event creation time, user key, record type, organization ID. If you want to learn more, you can always go to the Office 365 Management API page. API schema. And here we have the description for Copilot. You can go through all of these, and here you have all the description about what's mean app host, context, thread ID, message ID, and more details. Let me share this link on the chat. Okay, I shared the link. Now we need to get this information and move the information to Power BI. You need to understand, in this case, because it's a demo environment, I am trying to get all the data. In your case, what we can do is get a small time frame, 7 days, 1 day, because every time that we request information to logs analytics, that have a cost. And the only thing that we need after we run this kind of queries is enable the export button and have the options to export as a Power BI as M query. Here we can open and we can see the export. It's not required for these specific steps. It's not required to get all the past data. Only with a few days or 1 day can be enough to get the query that we need to ingest on Power BI. So what's happened? I don't know, maybe you listen in some moment that Power BI have some limits related to how many lines can be imported in one query. That suffered some changes some years ago, but I listened a presentation a few days ago, and someone was saying the same, the 500,000 records limit. I believe that Jairo can explain a little more on the chat about the current limit. But I will show a way that we can use to get the data easily, split the data, because this is another very important point. If you run one query to get millions of records at once, because maybe you have an internet break or some memory stuff, your computer can stop loading the data. For that reason, the first tip that I will share today is this one, and I will show to you how we can get the data. This query permit me to identify, oh, give me, make a little change here. Permit to identify which days we have activities ingest on this audit general related to Copilot. If I change this one, I will comment the line. We can see that I have data ingested almost each day. I have constantly, I am ingesting data to this workspace in Logs Analytics. This is a new one for that reason. We are seeing only a few activities. But let me, I will show later in another, but we can see that this one is working and ingesting data. For other side, if I want to see if MPARR collector is working properly and ingesting data daily, something that I can do is this one. Give me a moment. This query, as an example, is show me only for the past 24 hours at what time I have a data ingestion. And I can see that the MPARR collector is constantly ingesting the data. Happens that because I am using a virtual machine, in this case, the virtual machine is turned off on the night, and for that reason, you can see here that there between the 2 a.m. to 9 a.m., I don't have activities. But in general, this can be very helpful to identify if my MPARR collector is working properly and is ingesting data. Because when I start seeing here Copilot, only Copilot activities, I can see that I have only 3 days. This is a demo environment. There is only a few users that are connected to here and working with Copilot. For that reason, the activities is only on 3 days. I have this one. I will export this as an M query, and we will start working with Power BI. Something that is very important to have in mind, please, this is very important to have in mind. When you create a template with Power BI, take care with the updates. Normally, we have monthly updates for Power BI. And in that order of idea, when you create, as an example, with the April version, your template, and then you try to open with the January version, you will see some errors, or sometimes the data will not be loaded because Power BI is very sensitive to use the same version when you create your reports. Okay, to start working with Power BI, I will go to transform data. This is our main core console that we will use to start collecting the information. We will go to new source, blank query, advanced editor, and we will replace this information with the query that we get from the export in Logs Analytics. Other tip here is you can enable here top right display line numbers. That can be very helpful to identify which line that we need to modify or something. Here coming another tip that I use a lot when I publish the report is replace your workspace ID with a variable. In this case, to use the variable, I will use double quote, double ampersand, and I will write my variable here, workspace ID. For the moment, we will see an error because we don't have that variable yet. We can create the variable here using manage parameters, new parameter, workspace ID. And I had to use this one, I need my workspace ID value. Let me go here, workspace value, copy, and let's back here, add the value. Now, for all our queries, we can use this variable. In some cases, you will need add your credentials to access to the workspace. Here, another very important point that almost all the people ask always about it is to consume Logs Analytics, to consume the Logs Analytics workspace. Let me, I need to give me a moment. to change the credentials to another tenant. Use another account. Okay, back. Okay, appears that I will need to modify something here. Give me one moment, please. Data source settings, edit permissions, delete. Okay, okay. Clear permissions, delete. Okay, let's go now. Let me see. Global permissions. Okay, close. It happens sometimes when you use your Power BI to connect to other tenants, the system get the previous configuration, and here we are having that issue. Let me see if I can forget this account. I don't want to use for that specific one. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can skip this one. This is something that can happen more than once, that you are redirect to this one. And let me access now to my environment. Give me a moment. Okay, backing back to the permissions, and this is because I'm having problems with this one. Let me clear this one. This is a very common issue that with Power BI is very annoying. My recommendation is try to use a dedicated machine every time that you work with Power BI. If you reuse the Power machine, the Power BI with other account, that kind of things can happen. Let me try to see if I can delete some credentials here to see if I can connect to this one without problems. I don't know, Jairo, if you have other tip to remove that credentials, but normally that is something very common. No matter, let me close here, no matter that on Power BI, you can see here that on Power BI, I am logged with my CAS Demos account. I am using my CAS Demos account in this one. Let me see if I can apply and go back here, signing. Let's go to see. Okay, now it's working. Okay, now let me connect. Okay, the permissions, the less permissions that you need, the less permissions that you need to consume the data from Logs Analytics is reader permissions in your workspace. Reader permissions in your workspace. Someone that is getting the data doesn't need permissions on the Purview portal or on the compliance portal or any kind of admin permission. The only thing that we need is the permissions related to the workspace ID. Okay, let's give a name to this one. I will call it Microsoft 365 Copilot name. But you can say, okay, yes, but why we are not viewing the activities? I was saying that in this case, I have only few numbers of activities, but in the real life, you can have thousands or millions of records for one specific activity. And something that I will show to you that I am doing to get the data per day is create our query and using that query as a function. I've been working previously. I have here the query that I am using on Audit General. And we will run this one here in Logs Analytics. Another very important point to have in mind, and that is another very common issue. When you export from Logs Analytics to Power BI mQuery, if you are using double quote on the Power BI mQuery, on the double quotes are added. That means you will have, you can see here, double quote. In that order of idea, if you get, that is the only different plus the rest of the body. But if you get the query from Power BI and you try to run in Logs Analytics, you will have some issues at the beginning because exists this double quote. What we need to do is replace that double quote by a single double quote. That is the only thing that you need to take care on this point. Okay, I have previously created the query. What I did, here we was viewing all the activities that contain Copilot. And we saw that we have some specific field here. Copilot event data access, client IP, Copilot event data message ID. Here we can see all the columns and we can decide which columns that we want to get. Something, as an example, here we are seeing, first of all, we are seeing an error because I get this one from Power BI. I need to remove the double quote and use single double quote. Now, another issue that I was getting several times with different customers, and let me remove these commas from here, is because if you are not using all the capabilities for certain kind of operations, as an example, the most common one, sensitivity labels. If you're not using sensitivity labels with protection, some columns are not created. And when you try to use the report, the Power BI template that I have published on the GitHub page, you start seeing errors because the column doesn't exist. To avoid that problem with the column doesn't exist, what I did is use on the queries and the new report that I am publishing, use the same configuration, is declare the columns, and if it doesn't exist, the columns are created as is. Let's see if we have some activities running this one. This is very important. If you run and you don't have any kind of return, the export button will not be available. But if you, and that is what I was trying to explain previously, if you run with that specific time generated that I was using, let me show you. I was using previously here as an option where time generated. This replace this time range that is set here. If I set this one now less 30 days, on my case, it's not a big deal because I have only few activities. But in your case, is recommend to try to work with only past 1 day or past 2 days and avoid to try to get too many data. As I mentioned previously, Logs Analytics have two different costs. One cost is related to the data store. That is the less expensive. But the most expensive one is the data ingestion. Is all the data that's coming in or out in logs analytics. And every time that we create and use a query, we are consuming that data. And finally, if you are getting too many data, that will have a big cost related to this. For that reason, again, in production environments, try to get the past 1 hour, the past 1 day, depend of the volume of your data, and not as this case that I'm getting 30 days, 90 days, or the past 2 years of data. It's only because on my team environment, I have only few activities. Jairo, that you want to say something?
Yes, please. Sebastian, please, you can the pass the modified query, please, in your.
Done. I was pending to press the send button. Thanks for that, Jairo. I saw
Okay, okay.
the chat and I was trying to, but I forget to press the send button. Okay, we have this query. Now I can export this one as an M query. I will open the file, Control A, Control C, and let's coming back to the transform data, the Power Query editor, and I will add new source, blank query, advanced editor. I will remove these lines and I will paste. Now I have my query, but remember that we are using a variable for the workspace ID. In this case, double quote, double ampersand, and here in the middle, we add our variable workspace ID. And now, pilot activities. Now we have the data. But as I mentioned, what we want to do now is merge this query with this another query. I want to get the data per day. In that order of idea, what I will do is the next steps. First of all, the query is running well. I don't need to do any change for that reason. And I will not use this one to create the report. I will less data that we can get from logs analytics. We can reduce the cost as I mentioned. Then doing a right click over the query name, we can create a function. And we will call this one Copilot activities. Copilot, I will call this one for the moment daily activities. Daily, because again, here I have a query that identify only the days where I have Copilot activities. Here we can see that the query say that I am getting from Audit General only the days when I have activities related to Copilot. Now, here on the function, I will do some little modification. First of all, here on source, and I will start sharing that, I will replace and I will use this option, day as a number, month as a number, and year as a number, replacing this workspace ID that was added automatically. Let me copy that line for you. A moment. Control C. By the way, I will publish on the GitHub page for MPARR a new page with all these commandlet, all these queries to help to you to go forward with your own report. Okay, that is the first step. Then the next steps is previous to the table name, that is audit general. We will add this header. What I'm doing here is taking this variable, day as number, month as number, and year as number. I am creating a string for date using the variables. I am creating a string for date. And then using some functions that exist, I am setting a variable called begin of the day using the date and end of the day using the same string. In this case, we need one additional step. Let me add this one on the chat if you want to get the specific query. If you have some experience on Power BI and getting data, this tip that I'm sharing here can be very helpful to get several information. And now we will change the time generated. We will change the time generated. Previously was set to less the past 30 days, and we will replace with this one that is going from begin of the day to end of the day. Which day? Now we will go to the next step, that is merge this function with this query. We go to add column, invoke custom function. We select our function, and here we will use column names. And for day, we will select day. For month, we will select month. And for year, we will select year. Now we have here, we are calling for each day, we are calling this function. Now we need to get the data for that information. This is very important. It's recommended to remove this checkbox that say use original column name as prefix, because if not, you will have new columns name called Copilot daily activities, time generated, Copilot daily activities, Copilot event. We will add that as a prefix. We want to avoid that. And the other thing is always press load more. Sometimes happens that not all the columns names are get at the first, and pressing that load more, we can be sure that we are getting all the column names. Now, you can see that all my data is here, day by day. This is very important. Here we can see time generated. This one was on April 17, the day, and here we can see for April 2, we have the data. Another thing that happened when we use this function, and we need to fix, this is easy to fix, is the columns that contain date are set on text format. What we will do is identify the columns that contain time. And here on home, the data type, we will select day, time, time zone. That step is very important to add the filters by day. Okay, I have pending to share something here on the chat, and is this specific last line. Give me a moment, and I will do that. If you are copying the data, this will be very helpful. A moment, and here is the last step on the function. Okay, you can see now that we have our information, and we have several things here. The other information that we will need is the information about users. I have the users here, but I want to have the capability to see the display names, to filter by business unit. There is several things that I want to use. And for that reason, we will go to new source, blank query, and let's go to create the query on Microsoft Entra. Let's go again. Let me copy this one. Another thing that was happening a lot with the MPARR collector is because the MPARR collector have the capability to export several different kind of attributes, but I have customers that are not using a state or they are not using country, and almost all the time, the Power BI template was failing because the country doesn't was not available or city was not available. With this new query that I am using on the report, we are using this configuration to declare the variables and avoid, if doesn't exist, to have any kind of problem. I can show you that. This is very simple. Let me send to here on the chat. But I am 100% sure that, as an example, it doesn't exist the column name, call it to say something, a square. I am 100% sure that doesn't exist that column on Microsoft Entra. But if I use this configuration, doesn't matter that doesn't exist a square. Let me line one. I believe that I forget some comma. Give me a moment. On line 1. Okay, I have where I have the I have a BAT token here. Okay, where is that BAT token? Okay. You know, now let me. No, it happens that is very common. Happens that if you by mistake have something select and you try to run the query will run only on the text that is select. For that reason was not working. But now that I don't have anything selected, you can see here that I don't have any problem. And inclusive, I will add a square here. Let me add a square. No matter that table doesn't exist, I will have a column. Not all the columns are shown always on Logs Analytics. We can come in here and select all the columns that we want to get. Here are not showing the empty ones, but I can select a square only to show that doesn't matter that is empty or doesn't exist, because I am using this configuration. The Logs Analytics will create if that one doesn't exist. Okay, I will run this one. I will export as an M query. Open again, Control A, Control C, go to Power BI. Here in the new query, Advanced Editor. Remember that we are using a variable for this one. And now we have the information from our users. In this case, it's not required to do all that configuration, previous configuration, because on the case of Microsoft Entra user, that is a fixed number. It's not something that changes daily or something like that. And we are getting only the list of a user. In that order of idea, again, at least for me, it doesn't make sense to do all this additional effort that we are doing to get daily data. And if you're running Microsoft Entra every 30 minutes, every 30 days, we are getting the last 30 days, and this function used in TQL permit to remove a duplicate field. The only thing that we need to have in mind is logs analytics is case sensitive. For any reason, if you have some names right in upper cases and then in lower cases, TQL can, no matter that is the same as an example admin name, if you have an admin on lower cases and admin in upper cases, the TQL will consider that as two different records because it's case sensitive. In that order of idea, if we want to be 100% sure that we don't have duplicate values, what we can do here is on transform data, we can use this one to set the format for, as an example, for user principal name, I will set all in lowercase, and then I will remove any possible duplicate that I can have. Is only to be 100% sure that I don't have duplicate values in this one. Okay, I have my Copilot information. I have my Microsoft Entra information. Something additional that we need here, we can see as an example on Microsoft Copilot, and we will work on that, that certain information, as an example, sensitivity labels that are added, and let's go to see here. Here we can see several information, and in some cases, that information is nested. That means we have some additional data that is nested in one cell. In that order of idea, we will need to start parsing that data and splitting that information. Under transform menu, I will use all this information is on JSON format. I will use parse JSON, and that permit me to split the data in new rows. Let's go, load more. The original is not set. And here coming something that I wanted to explain. For sensitivity labels, we have only the IDs of the sensitivity labels. We cannot create a report with the sensitivity labels ID because the sensitivity labels ID doesn't mean anything for the users that will use this kind of report. What we need to do is get a matrix or list with the sensitivity labels IDs and the sensitivity labels name. To do that, we will go to Logs Analytics. One of the script part of MPARR is used to get the information from labels. One of the script on the MPARR solution create a list with all the sensitivity labels. We have the IDs, we have the parent label display name, we have the name and the display name. We can run this query. Let me share the query again here. Yeah, no worries. I will share all of that here. Let me share here on the chat. And now that I will export as an M query, I will open this one, Control A, Control C. Let's go back to here. Home, new source, blank query, advanced editor. We delete this one, we paste. Remember that we are using, if you will not use any other workspace, maybe you can skip this step. But as an example, if you are working on pre-production environment to validate the report, and then you will need to move the same report to production, instead to start modifying all the queries, all the tables with the with the workspace ID, using the variable will be more simple because we can export as a template this one, and then when import the template, the only thing that we need to do is add the ID to the workspace ID to the template, and all the variables will be start collecting. Any other question, comment until here? Please remember that Jairo will help us here. If you have any question, any doubt related to Power BI, Jairo is the guy here to help us on that. Okay, let's go. Let's change the name. In this case, we will call this one sensitivity labels. Sensitivity labels. I will use a couple of additional stuff in this query. We are not building yet the report. We are getting all the data on the background. We need to still go to build the report. But other information that can be helpful, as an example, if you want to see if the users are using the licensing or not, or if you want to filter by license. I want to see the users that are using Copilot with E3 or user using Copilot with E5. The information about license is in this column. We need to split this column. But again, similar to the sensitivity labels that we have only the IDs, here for the license, we have only the IDs. One of another of the script of MPARR create a table with the friendly names for the license. In this case, let me go here. We will run this one. We have a table that is called MS product. MS product is created getting a public CSV file that contain the service plan ID, but the friendly names that we know, like Office 365 E3, Microsoft 365 F1, and several others. That can be very helpful to have a better understanding. Okay, I know that someone will request this query. I will share on the chat. Please give me one moment. I am pasting the code. And now we will export this one again as an M query. Let's go, Control A, Control C. I believe that right now that process is very simple to get. Advanced editor, we remove this one. And remember that we are using a variable for workspace ID. We delete that one, double quote, double ampersand, and workspace ID. And we have our information about friendly names. I will call this one MS products. And for the moment, the last one that I will do and is related to a specific function related to the geolocation part. I know that several people want to understand what we can do to obtain geolocation. This geolocation is based on IP address. In this case, I will run this specific query in Logs Analytics to get at least for all the IP address. But this one can be very long. This one can be very long. And we will do a similar case that we did with Copilot. Let me get this one first. Power BI as an M query. Control A, Control C. A new source, blank query, advanced editor. The variable here. Let me remove the tenant, the workspace ID, double quote, double ampersand, workspace ID. And I will convert this one. Let me change the name first. IP addresses list. But here I'm getting only for 1 day. Again, we will do something very similar to this step. Let me explain that one. Let me share the query first. Let me share that query here. What I will do is run a similar query that I run for the Copilot interaction. Inclusive, I can use the same one, but let me put this one here, and I will paste this one on the chat as well. One moment, please. Sorry, my mistake here on the I select the but option. Okay. With this one, what I am doing is getting every day that I have Copilot interaction activity and the client IP is not empty. Okay, we have an error. That means the client IP doesn't exist. Okay, let's validate that one. Previously, I was running here the Copilot, and let me see if the client IP have a change, maybe a mistake on the query. We can always client. Oh, why is failing? Remember, that is a very common mistake. Is failing because my first filter is looking for some specific information, but I have, remember when you export to Power as a Power BI M query, this one add double quote. In that order of idea, we can start having troubles. You need to always have that specific care. Avoid the double quote. Validate always that thing. Okay, let me share this one with the fix. Let me share this one with the fix. One moment, please. I will put on the chat. That is something very important to have in mind. Every time that if I get the information from Power BI and the query was created previously, you need to take care with the double quotes that are added. Now, with this information, the export is available. I will use this one as an M query. I will select all the data, Control A, Control C. I will back to Power BI. New query, new source, blank query, advanced editor. I will delete this one. Remember that we are using here a variable. Let me remove the workspace ID. Double quote, double ampersand, workspace ID, variable there is, and we are okay until this point. Now, we will change this one, and what is pending is transform this on a function. We will create a function from here. We will call this get IP. And here we need to do some little changes. I shared previously those changes. The first one is here. Remember that we will replace the source. We will replace the source with these values. We will set day as a number, month as a number, and year as a number. Then we will add a header to set the time variables. This one, all this one. I shared that previously. You can look in on the chat. And here there is something that you need to take care because because in the previous query, I don't add that where time generated major or equal to now less 30 days or any other period because I was using the same filter added in Logs Analytics. The same filter is this filter. In this case, I added to this one, but if I don't add on my query that specific filter, I use this one. When I use this one, the time stamp is set here on the time span. What I need to do is delete that specific string. I need to delete that specific string, and we will use this part on the QQL query that is related to time generated. After the table name, we will add the filter. After the table name, we will add the filter. And now I have ready my functions to use. In this case, I will go to this one, IP address, I have the days, add column, invoke custom function. Function in this one is get IP address. I will select for all the variables the column name. And for day, I will select day. For month, I will select month. And for year, I will select year. Now I have my information. I need to extend this one. Remember that you can remove the original column names, press the load more, and OK. And now the last step that I need to do here is taking the client IP address. I will remove duplicate. I will remove duplicate. Why? Because the function that I will show to you now, this function for geolocation, use a third-party solution, IP whois. For if you are using IP whois for developing, you can request per month 10,000 records per month. But if I am, but my first mistake when I start using this one is I was having 100 activities, all the activities from the same IP address, and I was requesting that same IP address hundreds of times. And that is not required. What we are doing here is creating a list with only one IP address, one unique IP address. And then let's create this one, new source, long query. I will get this command. Let me share here on the chat. If you want to use this on production, IP whois have some different plans and cost depending on the data that you are requesting. On my case, my demo environment doesn't have too many activities to go over that 10,000 records per month. The free use is enough for this case. Okay, I will go to here. I put on the chat, advanced editor. I will replace this one. And in this case, this one is get immediately as a function. here we can see that it was immediately get as a function. And I will call this one geolocation. And what I need to do now with this one, I will come in here to IP address. I will add a column, invoke custom function. I want to use this geolocation. I will use column name, and I will select the client IPS. Selecting that, here, because it's the first time, some additional information is required about privacy. In this case, for this one, I will use organizational. Save. And now, this one, instead to call several times, again, if I have 20 actions or 1,000 actions over the same IP address, I will do that call 1,000 times. But if I filter and I remove the duplicate, in this case, I have only 3 of them. Same things. And now I have all the information related to location, country, money, city, region, and several other data that I can use for my report. I believe with this one, there is other information that can be added, but with this one, we are ready to go and start building our report. All the data is loaded, and we'll see that here will appear all the new queries, all the new information. Let's save as. We will save as first. MPARR webinar Copilot. And here on documents. Okay, save. And now we can start building our report. Something that is pending. All of this is the boring part in some way, is create the relations. If we want to have a report that permits us to filter the data by users, filter the data by product, filter the data by sensitivity labels, and several other things, we need to create the relations. In this case, I have this one, that relation was created automatically based on the function. But now I will need, where is from here, I have the IP address. I have here the user ID. I need to make the relation between a user ID and the user principal name. I will take this one. I will move to here, to user ID. Okay. Well, normally if you get and send, the same system can try to help to you to create. If not, you can come in here and select. And then we will work with the rest. Remember, on this one, on the Microsoft 365 Copilot, if we need, because we don't remember the specific value, I know that the value that I need is that one, but if we are not clear the value that we are looking to make the relation, you can go here on the left on the table view, and here we can see the values. Now, if I select Microsoft 365 Copilot, I can go very quick to the information, or I can start reviewing. Here, I need the sensitivity label ID. In that case, the other relation that I need to create is from Microsoft 365 to this one. Let me, again, sensitivity label to this one. And now I have a relation many to one related to sensitivity labels, names. Okay, let's start drawing. The most common one that the people ask is related to the maps. In that case, we will start drawing the map first. We will use this option. Here is in the first column on the 4 row, we have the options for map. And what we need for that is the latitude and longitude. In this case, from this one, we can get latitude and longitude, but about what? Here is showing based only on the IP address, but for this one, we want to see the different interactions that we are having. In this case, let's go and select one by one. The interaction is, I call it that one to the copilot even have, this is something that we can change in any moment, but we can use this one, the legend, as a legend. We have app chat and biz chat that are the mains. If we go back to the copilot interaction, sorry, let me try to select this one. You can see here on the description that the mains activities can be app host, app chat, or biz chat. The biz chat refer to Microsoft 365 chat experience on Bing and Teams, and app chat refer to Copilot, our Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, and more. Okay, for me, app chat doesn't mean anything. App chat doesn't mean anything. What we can do in that point, we can come back here to transform data. We can go to this one, Microsoft 365 Copilot, and we can come in here and say, okay, this app chat and biz chat, I will replace the values. I will replace the values. Which are values? For app chat is all on. For app chat, I will replace as a Microsoft 365 apps. That is the new name for Office. It's not called Office. It's not called anymore Office. It's called Microsoft 365 apps. But let's use that one, and we can replace. And then using the same option on replace values, we can say for this chat, this is my M365 chat. And this one was saying that this is Bing and Teams. Okay. Home, close, and apply. And now this is updating. And here we can see that is show not anymore app, and BizChat is show M365 chat and Bing. But the points are very small. What can I do is based on this same, I can change the bubble size based on the amount of activities for that. Then here on the visualization, we have the map settings, and we can select road, aerial, grayscale, or the normally that I use is dark. And the advantage with this exercise is we can go very in deep. We can do a very good zoom in to identify where that IP address is located. and you can go to the street and see from where the activity happens. And if you start having other activities from other countries, the same map will adjust the zoom to show the right information. If we want to change the values, if we want to change the colors, here we can do all of that. Here we have the scaling. We can change the colors. I want to use, I don't know, this kind of yellow. Let's see if the yellow is better. Yes, appear that the yellow is better to see on that. And let me try with this one. Okay, appear that is can be better that use the previous colors. And now we have our first map having all the interactions, and the size is related to the volume of activities that we are having in our environment. Now let's go to see the rest of activities. Here I will show a couple of things that can be very helpful. Let me change only the title. Uh, I will show every time that you add any kind of visualization, you have some general configurations for that specific visual, and then other configurations that are common for the rest of things. In this case, I will change the title to geolocation. Here, we can change the hidden, we can change the size. You can go through all of this. Go through all the options for all the visuals can take several times. We will not use all that time to review. You invite to start playing with this information. The only thing that normally I do is here on effect, I remove the background. I remove the background because if you have an image in the background, you can use that one, or if you use colors on the background. In some cases, I enable the virtual border to mark a little more the report that I am using, and you can round the corners. And playing with that, now you can see that the report appear market result here and with some shadow. That is the first point. Now, let's see the interactions. This is very interesting, and we can apply some additional transform data. In this one, I want to see what is happening with all the events, all the events related to a Copilot. And then let's go to there, Copilot app host. We can analyze that one. First of all, here, analyze this one. Here we are counting the activities related, all the activities related to Copilot. Then we want to analyze if those activities are related to M365 chat or Microsoft 365 apps. And now we can see the exercise related to that. Now we want to see extensions or file names. Again, this is very important. You can start playing. You can start playing with the data that is available here. Here you can see that I have, in some cases, the path, but remember here we have some chat activities. In that case, maybe the path is not the best one, but we have the name, the extensions, and the sensitivity label. Maybe that information can be more helpful. In this case, I will use name, sensitivity label ID, extension. From here, I want to see the extensions. In that case, where the extensions is, oh, I forget which one is the extensions. Let me go back here and see, okay, there is type. Okay, the type is the extension. In that case, I will select type. And you need to take care here where the data is located, because if I move to the top, this value change. I need to take care on this point to see how I want to split the data. And now I can come in here, I can extend, and I can start seeing the extensions. And now I want to see the name of the files. And I can select here, I can put here, I need take care. And now I can extend this one, I can start seeing the names. But these names contain sensitivity labels. I can add in this same the sensitivity labels, or in this case, I will create another chart where I will put the sensitivity labels. I will use the display name here on the y-axis, and on the x-axis, I will select the names of the files. I will count the name of the files, count distinct. And here, let me show you, if I go to the labels, sensitivity labels, here you can see that I have a label called Project Obsidian. I have the rest of things. Let's go here, and we can see here that specifically I have from this file that was accessed several times, have that label. If I select this one, I can see the file that was accessed that doesn't have that label. I can select here, and I can see that that specific file, trade card numbers, doesn't have a label. That means Copilot is accessing to a file that is not protected. Now, another point that I was explaining previously is related to the time. We will use this slicer, and here we have 2 points. This is very important when we apply the filters. When the data is ingested, from the MPARR collector script, we have this time generated. But when occur the activity, when the activity happens, is the column event creation time. In that case, we can use for this slicer the event creation time. And we can start playing now to see what is happening with the activities on different dates. And you can see how the rest of the report start changing when I move the time. I don't know if you have any questions, comment until now. Please remember that I know that Jairo is available to share his knowledge on all of this. The other thing that was very interesting to analyze, and I will create another page, I want to see, as an example, I want to create a report to, let me to go back here. Here, when I start seeing the Copilot information, I have the Copilot interaction. I have here the Copilot event data. But normally, this one, the type, can be very helpful because I have a document, PDF, Excel. Something that we need to do here is this one. Here I have more data related to other information. When you use a Microsoft 365 apps instead of the Bing chat, we have other column that is called Copilot Event Data Context. It's not the same from the previous one that we split. We need to do an additional step here. Why I want to do that? Because with that configuration can be more easily to identify the users that are using Copilot for Word, for Excel, for PowerPoint, for Teams. With this first filter, maybe it's not enough. Let's go and let me try to explain a little more. I will start with the basic one related to this one, and we were saying I want to see the user activities. And why? Because I will create this another report related to user and operation. And here, with this report, let me extend to show a little more, and then we can go more in deep with all this exercise. This exercise is very good to understand all this process. Here, I can see that Alex use Copilot for all the activities, but Diego only use on Bing. This exercise is very simple, and to analyze the data, maybe it's not I don't have too many activities. Let me see if I can show another report that I have previously created for Copilot. But the idea from here is which kind of information that we need to show to who. The MPARR main vision is show the right information to the right people in the right moment. In that order of idea, we can create several kind of different report, but let me move this another VM that I have with a report to this monitor to show what I want to explain. In this another report that I created previously, what I did was getting all I split the data, and that permit me to identify the kind of activities: team meetings, doc, PPT, Teams chat. Why this is important? Because I can say, okay, I will take the top users as an ambassadors to talk about Copilot. But really, that is not the best case. If, as an example, if I filter to the people that is using Word, I can see that is not the top 5 user, is the user number 6 and then user number 7, the user that uses more Copilot on Word. In that case, maybe I can reach them and request to them why they use 3 more times than the rest Copilot on Word. And that permit me to identify a better users for certain kind of activities. Or if I select on team meetings, I can see that maybe the number 2, 3, and the 5 have a better use of Copilot on team meetings more than the rest. In that case, I can go to them to start asking how we can leverage Copilot internally. And is the same for PPT, is the same for team chat, is the same for Excel, or maybe I can start asking why we don't have too many use on Excel and start understanding if maybe Copilot doesn't help us, or we need to another kind of onboarding and learning process to use more Copilot on Excel. For that reason, here with all of this is very important to understand which kind of information that we have, which kind of information we want to show, and based on that, start building all our reports. Other report that can be very helpful, or other chart that can be very helpful here, is the one related to the daily activity. For daily activity, we can take this one as an example. On X, we will use the event creation time. And here on this one, we will see the number of operations that we have. Here I am seeing the year. What we can do is start splitting this information on Q, years, month, or if you need or on these cases, I have only few days that I have activities. And the advantage to use Power BI is pressing on any of this report, on any of this chart, I can see where the activities are happening. And I can see that Diego only uses on April 5 Copilot. And I can start playing with all the information. Again, here we have the first data. If we want to remove certain kind of information, we can play here to remove some of the information. Something that we can do as an example, let me back to this one. If I want to avoid to use count of operations, the only thing that I can do in this specific report, I can rename for this specific visual. In this case, I can call this one interactions. And in this case, now is called, I have 40 interactions, 33 on Microsoft 365 chat, and 7 on Microsoft 365 apps. But this one, Copilot event data, it doesn't mean anything for me. Okay, or again, thinking on the end users who will use this data, we need to change the names. Copilot interaction. Okay, I have 40 interactions and 33 as this Copilot. Okay, M365 chat or Microsoft 365 apps. Now we are almost on time. We need to publish this. Okay. Something that we can do here is on app.powerbi.com. We can create Power BI online workspaces. New workspace. I will call this one MPARR webinar April 2024. We can add an image. We can let me, maybe I don't remember if I have, let me use this one only. Okay, it's too big. I don't have more image on this computer. And now I have my workspace. And here I can manage the access. Managing the access, I will give access to Mike, that is the common user on this computer, with viewer permissions. Let's see what's happening. For the moment, we don't have the report yet. I will publish. I need to select the workspace. MPARR webinar April, this one, select. And now the report is published. Here are a couple of things to have in mind. A couple of things to have in mind. To consume the report, the Power BI report on Power BI Online, require of Power BI Pro license. Now, if you have a Power BI workspace online premium, any users with a Power BI free license can consume the report. There is several ways to licensing all of this, but in general, if all your users have E5, normally they have Power BI Pro and they can consume the report. But if you want to share with people that doesn't have a Power BI Pro, they can consume a Power BI free, you need to think to publish this report in a workspace premium. That is another option that is available. Now, here we can see that I have my report, the same report that I created. Now I have access through Power BI Online. Something that we can do here, in this case, is here under settings, no, sorry, and that is the report, and we need here, we need to go here to the data set. Now here under settings, we can enable several things. Well, I need to make a little manager here on the query, but is in this part where we can enable the automatic refresh. When you have Power BI Pro, the incremental refresh, the refresh data, not the incremental refresh, the refresh data is can be set one per day. When you have Power BI Premium, you can refresh the data several times on the same day. But what happened? And that is for another public webinar for that specific. We have the capability to enable something that is called incremental refresh. Power BI have the capability to enable incremental refresh. What's happened? If I enable the daily refresh on Power BI, all the days, the Power BI will request all the data. If you have millions of records, because you are storing the data for many years, every time that the report is refreshed, the system will request all the data for all the millions of records. If we enable the incremental refresh, you can get only the delta of the information. That reduces the time to refresh the Power BI template, and that permit to reduce the cost of the logs analytics consumption. For that reason, that is topic for another public webinar. I'm trying to combine to Jairo to do a public webinar. He is the expert to show all this stuff related to refresh, automatic refresh, incremental refresh. And another thing that is very helpful is the way to filter the data based on who is logged. In that case, if I want to show the information to some specific business unit, if the logged user is from a specific business unit, I can show that specific data. If anyone else connect and and is part of another business unit, we can show that specific information. The last point, and we will have 10 minutes to make some questions. If I connect as Mike, the permissions that I give to Mike was only viewer. In that case, Mike, at the moment to connect to Power BI, will only view the report, not the dataset. In general, my recommendation is try on the Power BI Online workspaces, give permissions only for viewer. With viewer, we can see access to the report. If you give other kind of permissions, let me jump to here. You will see the semantic model, and this permit to access to the data. We don't want to do that. We can work only to publish the report. That is in general the today presentation. I wanted to show to you how you can identify certain kind of activities in logs analytics, how we can get that data from logs analytics and move to Power BI. On Power BI, how we can optimize the way that we are collecting the data, how we can set simple variables like this one, call it a workspace ID, or how we can use simple functions, how we can build functions from a common query, or functions that are a little more complex that use a third-party services like this one for geolocation. And with all of that, we can start consuming the data and start building our own reports. I hope that this presentation will be like for you. We really appreciate your feedback on the survey that Jairo is sharing. And if you have any questions, please are welcome. The chat is open. And if you want to share any insight or feedback, please try to do the feedback through the survey. But if you want to share any other things here on the chat, please feel free to share. Okay, if we don't have more questions or comment, okay, here we have, yeah, the recorded session will be shared after this meeting. I will upload to the MPARR YouTube channel, and you will have the capability to get from there. We really appreciate your company today here, and please be aware for any other public webinar that we will do. Have a great rest of the day and the rest of the week. Much appreciated for your company today.